back to another Millennial in Debt video. If you are new here, hit that subscription button below and turn on the notification bell so you get that every single time I upload a video. This is not a clickbait title. This is actual factual facts. I booked 5 flights to 5 destinations, 2 of them international using strictly points, and 1 of them was not credit card points. So stick with me to the end so you can find out what I did in order to travel during these crazy hectic times where flights and gas are just like, what? Right? So let's start off with where am I going, right? So I'll be heading to Phoenix, Amsterdam, Columbia, Florida, and Seattle. Booked all 5 of those flights using points. I have 3 credit cards. I have a Citibank credit card that I've had since I was 18 years old, and for a long time it was my only credit card. I have a Capital One Venture card, not the ones with the annual fees, because Capital One has 3 like travel rewards cards. I have the basic Venture card with no annual fee, and then I have a Gold Amex that I opened at the beginning of the year for more business purchases. So let me jump into the benefits of each card, how I use each card to maximize and leverage the points, and how I sealed the deal with these 5 flights. So I'm going to start off with my Capital One Venture card because it is the one I use pretty much for everything. This card is the best when you want to use it for travel rewards. This card does not translate really well in terms of getting cash back or using your rewards points for anything besides travel, which makes sense. Venture card, flights, got it, hotels. Whereas my Citibank card goes much further for a dollar for dollar rewards if I'm doing like an Amazon purchase or a Target purchase. So if I know that I have a purchase and I'm like, oh, I really want to use points on this, I'm going to use my Citibank points to get the maximum amount of, convergence. What word am I looking for here? Anyway, my Capital One card I use strictly to book either hotels or flights. 99% of the time it's flights. And my Gold Amex I use also for travel, for flights, for things like that. I compare to see which is going to give me the better, it's not convergence. The better ratio. Sis, you bugging. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So the Amex card, when you sign up, I will leave the link. It's an affiliate link. I fully stand behind this Amex card because I love it. The Amex card, when you sign up, if you use $4,000 in the first 3 months of opening the card, they give you a bonus of 80,000 points. Because I knew I had a kitchen renovation, not one that I wanted to do, one that was a necessity. Because I knew I had a kitchen renovation on the horizon, I knew that I'd be able to maximize and achieve that bonus and still have the cash to fund my renovation because I have a sinking fund for my house. It's just necessary. All right, so I swiped away for my kitchen renovation, hit those $3,000, $4,000 worth of purchases in the first 3 months, and I was granted 80,000 points to use as I saw fit. So with those 80,000 points, I booked a trip to Seattle and to Arizona. And I think I have about like 4,000 points left over. And those points come up really fast. You get 4 times the amount of points when you go grocery shopping, which we all gotta eat, right? So it has tremendous amount of benefits. It does come with a $250 annual fee. So if you know that you're going to reap all the benefits of having this card, it is a really good option. The Capital One Venture card, that is where I use all my day-to-day. So my bills, my medical, which was really like an unlocking of a real big, ta-da moment for me. Is that a ta? I've been at the YouTube game. I'm failing. So what I do have an FSA and an FSA card, but instead of putting things on my FSA card, I swipe them with my Capital One. I get the points, and then my FSA, people reimburse me and I'm able to pay this off. The key trick and important thing with all credit card points, all rewards and things like that is not to carry over a balance. I don't want to pay interest. I want to reap the rewards, and I want to spend money that I was already going to spend, because a lot of times people are trying to get all these points and do all these things and end up spending a lot more money than they normally would have. So it's really important for me when I am, trying to rack up all these points, that I'm doing it really intelligently and spending money that I have and spending money that I was going to intentionally spend anyway. I don't want to spend an extra $10,000 to get enough points to book a $400 flight. It just doesn't make sense to me, right? So that is how I use my Capital One card for every single thing in my life, including my medical. I use my Amex for more business. and like bigger home renovations and things like that. And so I used my Capital One card to book my flight to Colombia. At the time, I booked it in early May. At that time, flights were about $300, which they're not that price anymore. So I only used about 30,000 points. I have about 17,000 points left over on my Capital One card. So that is a godsend. My trip to Orlando, which if you did not know, I'm going to be speaking at FinCon this year. Excuse me for a second. So I will be flying into Orlando in early September. This particular flight was also free. But let me dive into how and why it was free. So I actually didn't have to use points for this particular flight because I had about a little more than $200 in JetBlue credit. And baby, the reason you're like, well, you paid for your flight, that's how you got a credit. Let me explain. So back in 2020, I had a trip to Bali and a trip to Colombia that got canceled because, the panini shut us all down. And so I was able to negotiate 3 times the amount of points with JetBlue. They wanted to give me they didn't want to give me back my cash, but they wanted to just give me back credits with back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I just found the right person at the right time with that negotiation. They gave me 3 times the amount of points. And so from 2020 to 2022, I've been flying JetBlue pretty heavily trying to use those credits, and they kept messing up. Every time I booked on JetBlue over the last 2 years, there would be this tremendous 3, 4, 5 hour delay where I'd be stuck at the airport. So what would they do? They would just give me back all the points. And so I've just been recycling those same points since 2020. And I have finally dropped down to the final 200, which I used to book this trip to Florida. So thank you, JetBlue, for all of your efforts these last 2 years. That's how I was able to secure that flight without having to spend any extra coin. Now, my trip to Amsterdam is probably my favorite points hack of all times because I used my points from my Fetch Rewards cash back. I've been talking about Fetch Rewards for almost a year and a half now, which if you're not on, I will put the link below. I love Fetch. I saved about 650,000 points in order to book a $610 flight to Amsterdam, to the Netherlands, right? And I could not be more excited and happier to use these points because I've been saving them for so long. I use my Fetch Rewards. I've bought sneakers. I've bought Christmas gifts. I love Fetch. I upload every single receipt that there is. If you don't know how to use Fetch, I have linked the previous video where I talk about all my cash back and how I make about $150 to $200 a month in cash back because baby girl is snapping those receipts. Thank you very much. If you do want to learn how I used my Fetch dollars, my Fetch points, in order to book this flight to Amsterdam, I have given a full rundown breakdown on Instagram where I show you exactly how I did it. It is very tedious. It's very multi-stepped. It has many steps, but I was able to essentially get Visa gift cards, put them onto my PayPal, and pay for my flight. So again, if you're not following on Insta, what are you waiting for? Okay. All right, and that's pretty much how I did it. That is how I spend. That is how I use my points to leverage all these things. Now if I can figure out how to leverage some points to Costa Rica, because these flights is looking nasty. Thank you for sticking with me, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.